last night, this happens on a daily basis. They have no helmets, they have no license plates, they are riding on sidewalks, through the park, etc. And no one is responding to this. This has also been going on for years. So I would kindly appreciate it if you could look into stopping this hell bomb and also look into remedying the motorcycle situation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I will just give you some information about, and I'm glad you brought that up about the roving motorcycles. We do have these, we call them stunt driving events, sideshows, if you will, also being termed of, with motorcycles and cars. So just to let you all know what the department is doing on that, we have a response team headed by and three companies. And they respond to these, and our primary objective, first and foremost, is to break those events up because they are dangerous. Now, there are times where we can't get to them before they assemble, but just this past weekend, there were multiple attempts to have these events in our city, including motorcycles, and we were able to break them up. What we also do is, after the fact, if we can determine the identity of the vehicle, we will go and get a judge to issue a seizure order, and we will seize those vehicles. It's a minimum of a 30-day seizure. So that has been happening for the last couple of years, so there is effort. It has not eliminated them, but it has curtailed them significantly. So we will continue to work on that, but I just wanted to let you know, sir, and the public, that we do have a unit, that is what they do. And it's a citywide response, so when the lieutenant, like this past weekend and the weekend before, when the lieutenant gets wind of these events happening, they call for officers all across the city, they assemble, and we go in and we shut these events down. And if we can catch people in the act, we will, but the primary objective is to shut them down as quickly as possible.
Yeah, but you still haven't answered the direct question, which is why a citizen who lives on Dolores Street can't enter his own garage, can't go into his own door with his toddler on Halloween, holding bags of candy, and when he calls 911 or speaks physically to police officers, they do nothing.
Yeah, so that's why we're here tonight, and we're here tonight to try to have a response that meets the community's expectations, to hear from all sides, so we can hopefully come to a solution moving forward. And I apologize if that happens, but we're here to try to make that better. We're here to try to make that better, and that's why we're here. We want to hear from you, and thank you for your candor, and we'll continue, like I said, when I started this meeting out, we don't intend to condone illegal activity this year and moving forward. You know, we want to try to make this work, and we can find a safe event, with organizers and people that are willing to come together and have a safe event that meets the community's wishes and expectations. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
I live on the corner of 20th and Ward for 40 years, and I would say Raphael was very correct when he said last year was not. And I would say the lady who said it used to be a nice and peaceful glass that has memories about it. Okay. Raphael was correct when he said that last year was far from the worst year. This was never a real nice and happy event. Maybe the first year or two there weren't any problems. But it's a horror show. You can't walk. Literally, you can't walk. I live 2 doors from Dolores Park across the street. I can't walk from my door to Dolores Park when the hill bomb is going on for like days without taking serious risks of getting hit by a skateboarder. So it's a horror show. It's been a horror show for years. And first, the speaker, who thought the neighborhood needed a lot of technical information about skateboarding, says he's never participated in the event. I think if it ever been there for the entire event, you might think that the information needed is not technical information about skateboarding. It's about how to keep people from just taking over the neighborhood, because it's a famous, world famous, pretty neighborhood with a lot of hills. There are bigger hills, lots bigger hills, lots of them. This is just big because of the scenery, basically, and it's inexcusable. It's been going on for much too long.
There are too many people who see the police as a hammer and every problem as a nail. Send the police first and ask questions, and work with the community as an afterthought, if at all. Austerity for programs that reduce harm and unlimited money for police overtime. Setting in the police here is an escalation that invites an escalated response from people who see the setting in the police as a challenge and an attack on their traditions and their community. Last year, we spent $250,000 on arresting dozens of kids, and that's not even counting how much the city will have to pay out of litigation. But over time, there's no resources for helmets, putting up barricades, and hiring expert skaters, and giving the skating community the resources they think actually make the event safe. This happens every year, and we're pretending it's like it's a surprise, and then just doing the same old thing, and just expecting a different result. Let's try something new.
Hi, my name is Naomi, and I'm a homeowner and resident on Dolores, just above the park, so right along the path. And I think that this is a missed opportunity, or it's how I should say, a potential opportunity to turn an event that has become ugly and has become us against them into a community event that could show teenagers, especially Black and brown who are not represented in this room, that they belong, they have a place here, it can be safe, and it can be done. They fly by my house, and there are a lot other things that happen in this city. We had 100,000 people here for Pride, who there was a lot more drinking, drugs, people, unsafe behaviors that could have happened there, and it was peaceful. There is no reason that teenagers who want to recreate, and of course, there are some things that need to be nipped in the bud, but if we're more afraid of kids going quickly down the street than thinking the solution is to have hundreds of police in riot gear, this is a problem. You are all a part of the solution, you're a big part of the solution, and we need to work together. And it can be done. It can be done. Park and Rec already said that they would participate in it. There are other people in the skateboarding community, there are people in the SFPT and the TAs. We can do this. I firmly, with all my heart, believe that we can do this, and we can turn this into an iconic event in an iconic location. Yes.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Joe Schrillo. I'm a social worker and a member of the San Francisco Skate Club school program. I echo those last few comments and want to invite people to think about how the city has responded to critical mass bike riots over the years. There's ways to de-escalate. Of course, things are problematic. Not all skaters support the chaos. I'm on the spectrum of skaters. We definitely want to work with the community, with the neighbors, and work with us, and we can spread the word among our peer skaters. Hey, give some space for people to get to their home, and then you can work with us on how to control. But there's a way to make it safer, a way to make kids, especially the youth, feel like Dolores Park is their park as well. It's not just a place where you do something with you. So work with us, and to all the neighbors, talk to the skaters, you'll meet people with various different perspectives. Let's build community from this.
My name is Gary McCoy. I am a District 8 resident. I have happened across the Hillbong on many occasions over many years. I did not attend last year. I wish that we weren't sitting here now, 2 weeks after a Facebook post and a week before the proposed event is going to happen, to discuss how we can make things like this work. This is an event that happens every year. We know that it happens every year. We've got some of the best that work for the city and county of San Francisco, including the Recreation and Park Department, who know how to work with you guys and with other departments to make these things work so that they work in a safe manner. We've gone through 420, which was very much a legal activity that your department worked with Recreation and Park Department and other agencies to make sure that if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in a safe manner. We have events like Data Breakers. We've got events like San Francisco Pride and those things that happen in the parks, the adjacent park at Dolores Park, but they happen because there's city funding to be able to allow the organizers to do it in a safe way. And so I hope that we can all move forward and have more folks in the room for these conversations to make sure that next year, a week beforehand, we're not having a community meeting and talk about what we can do about it.
Thank you.
Well, we're comparing this to Pride, and we acknowledge that Pride started as a riot. Just keeping that in mind, while we're comparing this to Pride, let's acknowledge that Pride also started as a riot.
Yeah, I understand you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi y'all, I've been skating since I was 6, and I'm still a part of the skating community, and this event has been put on by kids, and the police's response is to come and arrest them, and they're saying that so skateboarding in itself is not chaotic, like if kids wanna go skate somewhere, and they spend thousands of dollars just to go stop the event and arrest them. You could spend all of that money to put barricades, to talk to the neighbors, to talk about all of, like, to make it a safe space for these kids, because their response, like, we're acting like this event isn't put on, like, it's not put on by adults, like, it's a bunch of school kids that wanna skate, and it happens every year, and all we're doing is trying to stop it, and not trying to make it go any further. Like, we have people in this room, I see a bunch of my neighbors, a bunch of the people that I know, and they can do something about it. And they're saying that no one's trying to do anything, but here we are a week before the event is gonna happen. And we could have been talking about this months ago, weeks ago. But then last year, they put up barricades and fences way before, hours before the event happened. Because they already knew that the event was gonna happen. So they could have spent all that time and barricades to help make that go safely and not try to arrest a bunch of kids at an event.
Hi there, resident at 20th and Dolores, and so I get the joy of experiencing this event firsthand every time it does happen. And actually, Supervisor, I believe we're in your old department, we still get so the word that comes to mind from all of these comments is accountability. And right now, we don't have it. And I think framing this as skateboard community versus the neighborhood, it's misguided. The problem is not the skateboard community that just wants to show up and skate. It's the unsavory elements that also attend this event, and the ones that cause the property damage, and the ones that bring fireworks that shoot off in every direction and at every elevation, and really make this a danger to everyone around. And we're talking about how unfortunate it is that this event, this gathering today, happened with so little notice. Imagine a world where the community had enough notice to prepare for this as well, where we can move our cars, for example. Imagine going down that street as a skateboarder and not having cars that you can get stuck underneath. Imagine being a property owner, a car owner, and not having to worry about that destruction happening. Imagine being able to plan transit. It's so difficult to come home, suddenly see the only way that we can get into our home blocked off by a crowd, and having traffic control being performed by high schoolers. I mean, where is the accountability in that? And so to get back to some of the proposed plans, find a sponsor, get this permitted, whether it's public, whether it's private, just get somebody to put their name on the line. And if nobody is willing to, I think that says a lot about this event, the good intentioned participants or otherwise. If it's gotten so far out of control that it can't be reined in and nobody's willing to take that effort, then it says a lot about the future of the event.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Christy Madison. I am part of, you can't hear. My name is Christy Madison. I am part of the skate community because I'm 41 years old and learning to skate. Thanks very much. I am also Aaron Whitworth's partner. We have been working day and night, literally. We go to bed talking about it, we wake up talking about it. I'm listening to all the calls, I'm writing notes, I'm brainstorming all day, every day, for the past 2 weeks solid. He and I created a harm reduction plan that's in many of your hands, and I just want to say a few things. The Bobstops have already killed 2 people. There was a sunshine request filed last year by Aaron. All the emails say that those box stops are in there to stop skateboarders. That's it. They're not put in properly. This is unprecedented. They cover the entire street. Cyclists can't get through, motorcyclists can't get through, people in wheelchairs cannot get through. They need to go. They should not have ever been put in. The state has sunshined them, like deprecated them in use on highways years ago. 2017, I think, is when that ballot measure took them all off the streets. Now they're used as a violent architecture to kill kids. Wake up. They need to be removed in order to protect all walks of life. This harm reduction plan is an opportunity to make a difference. What can we do in 5 days? We need to understand that skateboarding is legal in the streets and on the sidewalk. We have a constitutional right to assemble, and parking control officers can make a difference by controlling the cars. Cars are the #1 killer of skateboarders. They can have people move their cars. We can put out labels, signs, the street the night before. Today, everybody move your cars off Dolores for Saturday, okay? We need the docks removed, and we need $3,000 to get 100 helmets out for these skateboarders to take an opportunity to save their own lives. This can be done safely, and we have 5 days, so act now.
Give me $3,000, I can donate for my foundation to make that happen.
I live about 3 blocks away from the park. If you want to know, you asked what our recommendations are for this weekend, and I do appreciate that. If you want to know my recommendations for this weekend, please go look at the Board of Supervisors and the Police Commission meeting that was in August and September, because I and several other people gave our recommendations then. So I would like to use my time to ask, why are the police hosting this meeting and not the Parks Department or the MTA? And I'm very sincerely asking that, because that's why people are, it is not in good faith to say, hello, we are the police, please engage with us to do your legal activity, which is skateboarding down the street. So I'm asking why the police are hosting this meeting and not the parks or the MTA.
Well, it's an issue for the police department. I mean, at the end of all of this, when these events happen, we have to respond. Not only do we have to respond, we have to respond with a lot of officers.
So I disagree about
Well,
that.
let me ask you a question.
Sure.
If you don't mind. We have to respond with a lot of officers. So we are trying to engage in good faith. Recreation Parks and all the other city departments, if we're all acting in good faith, maybe we can all sit down at the table. But come next Saturday, if there are skaters that, want to do this event, we don't have an option of whether we're gonna not be there or be there. We will be there. And I just wanna ask you a question. Man. So, you're hearing from people in the community that maybe don't share the same opinion as some other folks, and we're trying to find a solution. But at the end of all of this, what we're really trying to get to is the safety of the public. And that is what we do. So we have a right to be here, and we're just trying to bring things together.
I understand, and what I'm saying is, if you are engaging in good faith, then the thing you just said, which is if we are engaging in good faith, then this meeting would be hosted by you and the Parks Department and the MTA. And if you're serious about saying that you're coming to do this for the sake of community safety, you wouldn't have had this meeting without those departments on this stage. It's not taking it seriously. It's that simple.
Thank you.
Hi, sorry, long weekend. Hi, my name is Max Dubler. Before I moved to San Francisco, I spent 10 years as a semi-professional downhill skateboarder and skateboarding photography, so I know about some downhill skateboarding. I've been around it, know how to do it, know how to make it safely. I understand and respect local residents' concerns about public disorder and vandalism and, violence and just general chaos around this event. But those things are not intrinsic to downhill skateboarding. It is entirely possible to run a downhill skateboard event, even in an urban area, without that kind of sort of gravity-powered sideshow vibe. We just have to plan for it, coordinate among public agencies, and invest the kind of resources that we have in this city to do this. And like, we have the expertise, it's in this room. We just need to like sit down together maybe next year before, it's a week before the apparent annual event like cicadas, and do it. You know, we've done it before in California, we can do it here.
Good evening, I'm Radulovich. I'm a nearby neighbor. I live on Cumberland Street between Dolores and Guerrero. In my day job, we put on large public events all over the city, create car free space. So if you need to know how to do this, we're happy to help you figure it out. I've looked at the plan. I think it's solid and it's thoughtful. You all are going to have to decide what kind of event you want to have on Saturday. Are you going to escalate? Are you going to make it confrontational? Are you going to try and make it the best event you can for both the participants and the neighbors? And I think, hopefully you'll look at his plan and you'll sort that out. I do walk and I do cycle around the neighborhood. I've never skateboarded down Dolores and never intend to. I'm a little too old for that. But I want to talk about the docks. You have put these docks on the street that have made the street dangerous. Those streets are already dangerous for walking, cycling, and skateboarding, all of which are legal. They're two of the high injury corridors in the city. That has nothing to do with skateboarding. It actually has to do with people hill bombing down the street in cars. But these docks have made it dangerous to cycle on the streets. These are not illegal activities. Chief, I appreciate that you say you're here to stop illegal activity. You are endangering people who are legitimately and lawfully trying to use the streets to get around the city. Those docks need to come up.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gideon Kramer. My name is Gideon Kramer. I've lived in the Mission Dolores neighborhood for over 40 years. I'd like to point out two things. The gal that spoke just a few minutes ago asked me why the SMPD called this meeting rather than other agencies. I can tell you that SFMTA is missing in action. They did nothing. Jeffrey Tomlin is an arrogant bureaucrat. He did nothing. No outreach. He refused to even comment on the incredible lack of safety. SFMTA is supposed to be about Vision Zero, safety for pedestrians and for motorists. Yet they don't insist, for example, that the skateboarders wear helmets. I mean, this is my second point is throughout the whole evening, including the gentleman that's Aaron with his reduction. Nobody has mentioned the word legal liability. There is no way in hell that San Francisco city government is going to sanction an event that cannot be insured. And people who say that such events have taken place, I'd love to hear how they deal with it. When the skateboarders are unwilling to sign a waiver to hold the city harmless in case they get killed, that are unwilling to take to use a helmet, to wear ankle, a normal kind of body protection. And if you crash at 40 miles an hour, you're lucky if you come out alive without a helmet. So I would really like to. That to me is the number one reason that I have huge reservations about this. If the skateboarding community really wants to have a safe event, it has to voluntarily say, yes, we will adopt all the safety measures that are required of us. We'll have crowd control. We'll have the whole 9 yards that are required to have a safe event in our neighborhood.
Hi, my name is Simone. I also am a District 8 resident and live right around the park. It's funny to me to hear people talking about skaters signing liability forms when the last year's event, what ended up happening is the police department invited a lawsuit, and now they're probably going to be paying millions of dollars. So let's not talk about liability funding as a barrier to this event going on. If the SFPD was acting in good faith, you wouldn't be telling skaters to stay away from this year. I've seen multiple reports saying that the supervisor and the police are saying skaters stay away. That's not good faith actions to make this event go forward. If you were acting in good faith, you wouldn't have added the dots at a moment notice. I know, again, that was, something that happened, if I remember correctly, within a day of something happening. And so, these things can happen at a moment's notice. You have five business days to make this happen safely. You can do that if you are acting in good faith. If you were acting in good faith and in the name of security, you wouldn't have arrested 117 people, mainly teens, and made them sit for hours at the end of the night in the cold night. And some of them with hot water, some of them peeing themselves. That's not safety. I'm sorry, it isn't. And you're deluding yourself if you think that it is. If you're acting in good faith, you wouldn't be claiming that there was illegal activity, because skateboarding is legal. So, you have the ability to put on a safe event here. What you can do, again, there are multiple concrete steps. Remove the box dots. You know this event is going to happen regardless of what happens here at this community meeting. So you can marshal the resources to get barriers, to put barriers where they're necessary to alert residents that it's going to happen, to move their cars, and, for providing medics or healthcare on site, for providing things like helmets for the skaters. And because this event will be happening regardless of what happens here. So you have the ability, you just lack the political will to do it. And I'm saying, get some balls, actually do some stuff.
Hi, my name is Barbara Dwyer. I'm a homeowner at 17 Dolores. I just want to say a word about safety. I worked a lot of years in a large city hospital similar to San Francisco General. Saw a lot of head injuries, and there's no way that you can make this safe when the forces of gravity and velocity intersect. It's pretty ugly to see somebody's head split open like a melon. It's ugly to see somebody die, and it's horrible to see somebody paralyzed for life. I want to know what Gideon said about there's probably no way for the city to ensure this event, because the city would have liability if it opens up the streets to skateboarding. I've got nothing against it morally or whatever. As a taxpayer, I don't want to be on the hook for kids that wreck themselves for something that's avoidable.
Hi, my name is Simon Kevin, and I live right across Dolores Park. If the media wants to rent my roof to film the event, be my guest. But I won't bother you with comments of vandalism and damage and all this stuff that has been covered. I think the path of least resistance, personally, is to stop this event that's coming next week and have them apply like every other event for a permit and provide adequate security for protection for neighbors, for participants, for the public. Get a sponsor, get a permit, and get it done. Play property, that's it. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Peter. My name is Peter Lewis. I'm the president of the Mission Dolores Neighborhood Association. Our last meeting, we didn't talk about this, so I'm speaking on my from my own position, even though I know there are many people that can be here. I agree with Simon. I do not think the event should go on this year. I know you don't want to talk about last year, but it was chaotic, and it's been chaotic many times before that. And if there's going to be a future event with skateboarding at the Dolores Hill Lawn, I think it should be well organized, and I agree that there's a tremendous amount of liability, and maybe what the city could do is try it one time under those conditions, and if it turns out to be chaotic, again, shut it down, because there's too much at risk. People could die, like we were talking about, and there could be a tremendous amount of damage to property, both the city property and personal property. So I'd say definitely stop it this year, and possibly try it in the future, well organized.
solution here, that's not just reactionary, and that's backed by, large police force, lots of taxpayer funding. Someone talks about taxpayer funding. How much money are we spending on overtime on this litigation that we could have been spent proactively addressing this event and thinking ahead? I hope that in the next 5 days, you can't cancel this event, it's an organic event. I hope that the next 5 days are spent doing something to make this safer, so that people aren't injured, and that this is at least somewhat successful. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Marina, and I live in the neighborhood, and I have experienced Hobon quite a few times. There's two separate kind of topics tonight. One is what can we do in the future, and one is what can we do for Saturday. With respect to Saturday, people asking if it needs to be canceled. As the gentleman before me said, this is an organic event. You're not calling someone saying, let's get it off calendar. It's gonna happen regardless, and I say that unfortunately because of the damage and safety issues. But with respect to the future and it being something planned with a sponsor, I want to remind people who've been in the neighborhood a while, there was the Red Bull Derby a couple years ago with the hay, and it was like done safely, it was sponsored. We all knew about it in the neighborhood. I don't think my neighbors, we would have a problem with this if it was something kind of any sort of event, if it's planned and noticed. But the way it is now, it's a serious problem, and I hope that there's no stakeholders here, because everyone here tonight kind of mentions, oh, we're not involved with it, I've not done it, I've not done Hillbomb, so we don't really have any stakeholders of that element coming to discuss what they can do for this weekend. I just hope that I understand that some people have posted on Instagram that the event has been canceled. I don't know if that's true, but I hope that in the future we can work together and get a sanctioned, safe event on the books for next year.
Thank you, Mayor.
We are to listen to everybody in the room. I know this gentleman in the red has spoken. Is there anybody else that needs to go before me? Otherwise, we'll make this our last speaker.
Yeah, before you go, just a couple of things, and there's a lot that has been said here. Here's a recurring thing. Before we leave, we're going to be transparent in terms of this police department and what our intentions are, so there's no surprises. So, a couple of things I just want to follow up on. What is the future of this? So, I'll put this out as an open-ended question because I have not heard this answer yet. Who is it that we are, besides the two, ma'am and I don't know where Aaron is, who are we working with? I keep, hearing, and I do believe that this is the case, hang on a second, that this is an organic event. But if we are to have an organized event, who are we organizing with? Because it's been said a couple of times, when it comes to accountability and people raising their hands and telling us, hey, I'm the one or the ones that are organizing this event, that is still a mystery. So it's really hard for us to organize an event when nobody will step forward and say it's not an or it's our event. I understand that. But he also said he's never been to the event, and he also says, and we're willing to sit down and look at him. Man, just give me a second to finish my thought, okay? Just give me a second to finish my thought. Here's what we need. If we have Aaron and you, man, to work with, we will sit down with you. Will you guys be out there Saturday? We will. Okay, so I'm hearing from the community that many people in the community don't want this to occur at all. So who's going to take the responsibility for the people to show up, to keep... Let me, I know just that too.
Will you be there?
Who's going to show up? Who will show up to take responsibility for the actions of the people that consider? Well, we'll definitely. So, okay, that's question number one. And if you don't have an answer, don't worry about it. So here's the. Just hear me out, man. I've been sat patiently and let everybody talk. Just hear me out, okay? Number two, I want to get to right. Number two, I want to get to right. our officers have safety equipment. When bottles and rocks and explosive devices and fireworks are being fired, thrown at officers, they are going to put on that safety equipment. So you can expect that. And I don't think anybody here, I hope that nobody here would think that that's a bad idea. Because we don't just come out to these events with helmets and safety equipment on. We put them on as a reaction when we're being assaulted. We put them on when we're being assaulted. And anybody that's saying anything different from that, that is not true.
So why did you bring a riot here in the first place? You showed up.
It's safety equipment that, just listen to me for a second, okay? Our officers will have their safety equipment with them when they go to any event like this, and as a matter of fact, they carry it around wherever they go. When conditions get tenuous, where assaults are happening against our officers, they will put that safety equipment on. They will put it on. So at this point, ma'am, I'm just trying to tell you what to expect, okay? So here's what I would ask. Here's what I would ask. If you don't want the helmets to go on, somebody needs to tell people not to throw bricks and bottles and shoot fireworks at our officers. Because otherwise, they're going to put on their safety equipment. They're not. I'm just, look, man. Yeah.
Just assault police officers, and they don't have to put it on.
Man, this is not an argument. This is not an argument. We're just telling you what it is that we have to do to keep our folks safe and keep the public safe. And that's not negotiable. That is not negotiable. Thing number 3. In terms of the Avenue story. We're here because we are trying to bring these issues together, and we do care, and we would like to have a path forward. But we have to have people that we're working with that will be there on Saturday. Some of the very people that are in the skate community that plan on showing up, hopefully we can get to those folks so we can have conversations moving forward. Saturday, we're not going to allow a neighborhood to be taken over, just like we won't allow a sideshow, or we try to break those up as well. We cannot allow neighborhoods being taken over, okay? We're trying to work together on this, but you also have a lot of people who live in the community that also have a voice, and I think they should be heard in terms of what they would like to see in the neighborhoods that they live in, right?
I'm grabbing the mic. I'm taking my supervisorial privilege to offer an observation, which is that I think people in this room are having 2 different conversations. There's a conversation about the need to give skateboarders, especially young skateboarders, the opportunity to have a safe event where they're able to do some things that are maybe going to bruise them up a little bit, or maybe even break some bones, but nobody's going to get seriously injured, and that would be a good thing if we could figure out a way to do it. There's a second, and there are some people in the neighborhood who actually are concerned about that, but that's one conversation. It's like skateboarding and how to handle skateboarding and how to have a safe skateboarding. There's another conversation about a set of things that are happening in the neighborhood and have for like every year that I've been a supervisor that are not skateboarding, that are graffiti and property damage and knocking elderly people to the ground and keeping people from getting to their homes and harassment, and it's scary and awful, and that's not skateboarding. And the trouble is that the harm reduction proposal that I've seen, it is all over here. It's all in the space of how do we do this event in a way that is safe for the skateboarders, and we're not actually sure we can do it in this space. We're not actually sure we have an operator to do it, but but conceivably we could get those things, and maybe this is even the right space. Where the police come in is over here, which has happened every single year, which is the craziness that happens. And the reason the police have, and thank you. I mean, they're used to getting yelled at these community meetings about a lot of things, and I'm glad, I'm grateful for you doing it. But the reason they're doing this meeting is because they're anticipating that they're gonna have to do something, that the chaos and crazy over here is gonna erupt over the weekend, and that in that environment, it's not acceptable to not respond to the guy when he calls 911 because he can't get his kid home. Like, that's not okay. That's a failure. That's a massive public failure. And it happens too much in San Francisco. And so the public, the broad public, expects our police department to keep us safe. And when the police department can't keep us safe, they get in a rage. And then the police department has to deal with that. So the police department is trying to figure out, how do we keep this event over here from turning into this event over here? And is there any way they can do that, or do they have to try to shut this thing down early? Now, my biggest regret on behalf of the city for last year was that there was not more communication to parents and kids about what this might look like. And so there may or may not be an event on Saturday, but I am fully confident. I don't think the city knows how to do this event well. I think it's entirely possible the police will get called in. I think it's entirely possible they will have to make arrests. And if you're a parent, I would encourage you to talk to your kids about not coming. And if you are a kid or a young person or an old person who likes to skateboard, maybe this isn't the right place and environment to do that. If some folks don't want me communicating that, I wish more folks communicated that to parents last year, because I think it was bad that it didn't happen. With regard to MTA and Rec Park, it is correct. The event over here that I think a lot of us would like to see happen in a safe way that does reduce harm to kids, I have no idea. None of these folks has any idea. None, I don't think. Maybe they're skateboarders out there, but I don't think they know how to do this. I have talked to Jeff Tumlin, who I know some folks in the room hold in low regard, but Jeff Tumlin is, reaching out to his contacts in the skateboard community. He thinks that it's possible that Thrasher or someone that has some experience and knows how to do events, that there might be someone out there who would, but nobody has come forward.
Someone out there. Where could they be?
I'm not going to get in a huge back and forth with Aaron, but Aaron did not, I did not see that OEWB application until, in the last couple of weeks, but I don't believe, the statement that I heard was, we're not sure this is the right place to do this event, and we're not sure we can do it at Dolores Park safely and in a way that we would want to do a great skate event. I'm not a skateboarder, I'm not an expert, but what I hear from people who talk to people who are, including Jeff Tumlin, this is probably not the right place to do the fast, great, world-class skateboard event. There are places in San Francisco we can do it. Folks in Twin Peaks will be furious, but we could do something in Twin Peaks. McLaren Park has been suggested. There's a bunch of different spaces that might have longer runs and less potential for conflict with neighbors. Or maybe Dolores Park is exactly the right place to do it after a ton of communication with neighbors to explain to them how they're going to be able to get to their front door, and a theory on the police's part about how they stop the shot, the sideshows, and the other insanity that is the real problem of the event. Sorry for
we have more questions and more comments, so all right, we have about 20 more minutes. We have the room for about 20 more minutes. So we're gonna get the new speakers first. If you're okay for this, gentlemen, the rest. We're gonna get the new speakers first, and then if we can get through, then we'll get back to you. Okay?
Hello, hello?
I'm sorry, before you do that.
Okay. Hello, hello? Can you hear me in the back?
We can't understand you with the mask on.
Can you hear me in the back? Great. My name is Rocio. I am a
cultural worker and organizer, 33 years old, and I do roller skating recreationally as well. There are a lot of things that I would like to say, but there are some great points that have been brought out here that we feel we're all going through the same thing of how do we make a great, safe event without the other non-skateboarding things. I am a cultural worker, and culture is co-created. Culture, we as organizers, when we create events together, we form the culture. Who are the people? You're asking if you want to create an event, and if who's organizing, who is there? Do you think the kids that organize the Hill Bomb every year is something that is passed down traditionally? Do you think they feel emboldened to be cultural event organizers if when they try to organize an event, the police show up in riot gear and not in community outreach form? This can be done. Community outreach and culture, we can recreate this event in a safe and community way that builds community and that builds the culture that we want to see in the Dolores Hill Bomb or in the Twin Peaks event that you want to plan in the future that I think would be wonderful as well. So let's create community, not by showing up on Saturday with riot gear, by creating a safe Saturday that's going to happen regardless. And from there, we can start planning for next year. Thank you.
I am stunned by the arrogance of people. I'm stunned by the arrogance of the people who came here trying to shame the police chief because he's not here with the Parks Department trying to get some plan an event that nobody tried to plan, that no one applied for a permit for, which is uninsurable, that takes over the neighborhood, that has a 10-year very bad history, and then acts like in 5 days the police chief ought to be able to wave his magic wand, make a wonderful safe place for nice kids, skateboard down the street, and nothing gets hurt. You've got 10 years of history, this is not going to happen well.
He spoke twice.
After the event, if anybody would like to speak to me with any questions about
So is this guy.
Do you know what time they're planning to do this? The Supreme Court has legalized every
I
city
live on
criminalized
Dolores. I want to see. It's a good time to be out of town.
to understand what is
Just
right
get
and
some beer
wrong.
and enjoy
Raphael
it. That's my
Mandelman,
plan. That's
of
my
course,
plan for Saturday.
Zion,
I'm just 80
Enoch,
years old.
or
I'm skating every day. I love that. I gotta get rid of them doubles. It's guilty of delivery. My girlfriend just fell going down the hill on her bike. They killed the delivery man. He was drunk around the delivery stuff.
If you want to be a leader, act like one. There you go.
I heard you say a lot. I heard you say a lot on limit about what next year could look like, and I heard the chief start this meeting by saying, what can we do in the next 5 days? And several of us came here and said, what can we do in the next 5 days? You said, who can you talk to? People raised their hand, and then you said, who's gonna take liability for people's actions? And I want to, like, what are you asking them to do? Because we have 15 minutes to figure that out.
Love
Or
it,
you can
man.
run out the clock.
I said love it. Have a good time.
As has been stated,
It's all a simulation anyway. We don't tell
This
anyone.
department does not go out after skateboarders. We don't. Okay?
What do you want them to do?
Let me answer your question. The concern is when people show up and things start to happen other than skating, which is what the concern is, the vandalism, the assaults, all these things that tend to happen. And then it attracts like sideshows and things like that.
Let's stop
Now-
talking about sideshows. That's
I'm trying to answer the question I was asking. Okay, so those things, I know we can't control everybody's actions, but somebody has to be responsible, just like for any other permitted event, people are responsible for the event itself. Somebody has to be responsible. I mean, what's being asked here is to let people take over a neighborhood without anybody being accountable with any of the consequences that comes with that.
I'm saying,
And
like,
that,
give
and
us
that,
a
and that
checklist.
cannot happen.
Like, what do you want us to do?
Well, first of all, we can try to get some organization to this, and let me just be clear about this. I'm not saying that the San Francisco Police Department is going to sanction and sponsor a skating event. What we are here to do is to try to bring people together so we have safety in this community. So whoever is planning to show up on Saturday, I would strongly suggest that we sit down and have a discussion about consequences, about what is tolerated and what can be tolerated and what can't, and hear from some of these voices from the community that have been impacted by this. And then we go
I
from
thought
there.
that's what this meeting was.
Well, that's what we're doing. But you ask what you can do, it's gonna take further discussion, man, that's the
Then
bottom.
schedule it, then schedule it.
We're here.
We're here.
Hi everyone,
We're
Ken Ortiz
here.
here with the San Francisco Latinx Democratic Club. We worked with a lot of the parents last year of the kids that were arrested, and we're just watching history repeat itself. I'm a little appalled actually at the fact that we're now hearing the community being blamed for a lack of planning and preparation that should have really came from the supervisor's office, because you all dropped the ball on this. The fact is that the community actually put in applications to make sure that this could be a permanent event. Supervisor Mandelman, it's your role to consolidate those resources and to make sure it happens. I'm not sure if it's because you had bad staff at the time or what happened with it, but the fact is that there should have been proper permits in place, there should have been proper insurance in place, there should have been add-backs to make sure that the funding was gonna happen if the money wasn't gonna come into place. And I'm appalled that this didn't go through. We all want public safety. These poor neighbors, I'm sure, are traumatized because there's been a bad preparation. So why did you not work with the neighbors, work with the skateboarders to make a fun, safe event? Because we know right now that summertime is the most violent and dangerous time for teenagers. And we know that if we're going to be preventing gun violence and police violence, that this should not have been the approach on this. So I hope that you all take this and really plan this out accordingly. Thank you.
Yeah.
Why don't you give him another half hour? Holy Mother Church won't mind.
Fiscal sponsor or something.
He laughed at me.
I've lived in critical mass for like 25 years. Been around here long enough to know that critical mass never had a fiscal sponsor. So SFPD has 30 years of records to figure out how they made critical mass work without a fiscal sponsor. Second, there was somebody who made a comment about, the stakeholders who are doing this are not here. Yeah, this 100% is failed community outreach. If the kids aren't here,
Exactly.
we're having this
They don't
meeting
live here.
without the
They
kids.
come from outside the city.
That is not true. The kids, whatever. If you're doing this without the kids who are participating, this is not community outreach.
Exactly. And you do not make community outreaches right here.
I just want to wrap a little bit of context, and I want to first get myself out of trouble
Thank
first
you.
by saying I do not represent San Francisco Pride. However, a lot of people have brought up San Francisco Pride and how it's organized. There is one person, well, there's 5 people on staff at San Francisco Pride. One of them is the executive director, who spends all of her days, unfortunately, getting permits, having to speak with the police, and it does unfortunately cost a lot of money. San Francisco Pride has had to pay anywhere from $50,000 to $250,000 just to get medical staff on site at San Francisco Pride. Once upon a time, I was the person at the top of that liability list to make sure that someone would be responsible for it. So I encourage the community. I've heard a lot of people say they want to help organize, and I respect that. There has someone has to be an official organizer. There is a lot of chaos at San Francisco Pride, but at the end of the day, the one who's gonna get that call is Suzanne Ford. There has to be someone that they can call if something happens. I fully support you all, organizing. It needs to be done. The kids need a place to go. But I as a person who's a part of our community, I don't live here, but a person who's a part of our community, want to see someone take the responsibility of doing that work that Suzanne does all the time, because it is important, but it's gotta be done, and no, it's not cheap. No, it's a lot of long hours. I know I've gone over my time, but I think the community needs to hear from someone who's done those large scale events and who takes on that burden, because it is a burden and it's very hard. And I hope that someone does say, I will be the organizer for the
Serious,
Hilltop.
are you
I
in
will be the
charge?
person who
Can't
calls
you give them
Brad.
more time?
Brad should be-
This is an
Brad should
important
give y'all
meeting.
money. We don't-
They can use it as
As long as they want. And you're in charge?
I own these planes, but
can't.
The thing is that
take
it
this
depends
from
on them.
So make them give y'all the money, make them be the sponsors, make them give the $3,000 for the helmet, make them pay for the medical staff, and make them, I've had to talk with Chief Lazar, I've had to talk with the chief. We haven't always agreed, but we do the work to try and make it at least somewhat safe for us. So I'm sorry that I went over for everybody, but I wanted y'all to know that there are people who will support you, but also know how to make it safe in a way that the community does it, but they work in communication with the police. Because they're not, I'm gonna tell you right now, I love y'all to death, if you know me. But they're not gonna organize it for us.
Hey, Chief, the priest says you can stay as long as you want. The priest says you can stay as long as you want.
All right.
So there's been a lot of talk about who's showing up on Saturday, who's taking responsibility. So I have a very simple question for Chief Scott, President Hamilton. Will you be there on Saturday? Will you take responsibility for what you're proposing? Is this the same thing as last year? Will you take responsibility for arresting hundreds of kids again, and leaving them in handcuffs for so long that they're forced to trip themselves?
Hi, Christy Madison again. I think politics aside, no matter what everyone on stage believes, no matter who they think has more rights than the other people, Madeline, you've been in office for 6 years. You've had 6 years to make this event good, and you haven't tried yet. I know for a fact that Aaron came to your office hours last year, and you never followed up with him. I know for a fact that the OEW grant should have been on your desk. You might have just not read it. Like, all of these things should be in your purview, and you haven't done anything with them. So, like, asking everyone, like, oh, we don't have a plan, it's on your desk. Oh, we don't have anyone who is knowledgeable enough. We're all here. Like, the kids who show up are terrified. The kids who showed up are terrified of everyone getting arrested. Like, we need to find a way to get together, have a conversation tomorrow. I know Aaron and I are available, so let's figure this out. Let's figure out what we can do in the next 2 business days, because there's a holiday on Thursday. So let's do it together. Like, will you commit to doing that? Will you commit?
Thank you. We'll go to the next.
Hello everyone, my name is John Kaltenbach. I'm a San Francisco resident. There's been a lot of talk about what we can do in future years. I think there's some great proposals. I think there's also valid concerns about how to do this safely and in a way that protects the city from liability. I'm more concerned with what's going to happen in 6 days. So my understanding is that the current plan is to show up in riot gear for the protection of officers and arrest anyone who attempts to do the no bomb. Just one moment. I think we all agree that arresting teenagers is something we should try to avoid, if possible. Teenagers getting injured as well is something that we should try to avoid. Property damage for residents is also something that we should try to avoid, and certainly preventing residents from getting into their homes is something we should avoid. And so, with the expectation that none of the teenagers who are participating in this event are here today, I don't think they're going to get the message that they shouldn't show up on Saturday. And so I'm wondering if after hearing the comment of the concerned public, if your approach for Saturday has changed at all, or if it's still going to be riot gear and arrests. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let me answer. I don't know where you heard that, sir. Nobody on this table said anything about showing up in riot gear and arresting a bunch of people.
You just did.
What I said, let me say it again so it's clear for those that might not have heard it. What I said is our officers will have their safety equipment, and when bottles and rocks and fireworks are fired, they will put that safety equipment on. Or if they have an indication that those things are starting to come their way, they will put that safety equipment on. I want to be clear so that is not misquoted. Our officers don't show up to these events with helmets on. It's triggered usually by an action or somebody assaulting an officer. So I want to be crystal clear because I said it, I think, a number of times.
So did they run back to the van?
You weren't here last year. They showed up in riot gear. You weren't even here.
If you would just hear me, if you would just hear me, if you would just hear me for a second, if you would just hear me for a second, Okay, the officers will have their safety equipment, and nobody said that they're gonna show up and riot here. Okay?
Will you be there
They
on
don't-
Saturday,
they don't-
Chief Scott?
I'm not, you know what? Let me answer the question, please. Can we be respectful in this meeting?
You arrested teenagers.
Can we be respectful in this meeting, sir?
When you did that.
Can we be respectful in this meeting?
I'm asking, why should we be respectful?
Can we be
when you
respectful?
show
I
up
was
and-
answering somebody else's question, so we can get through this and respect the person that asked the question so I can answer it. Thank you. So, no, that was not a plan that has been announced, that's what you just created. We will be there to protect the public safety. Our officers know how to respond to events very professionally. Our officers know how to put on their helmets if they're being assaulted, and that will happen. I did say that, and I will say that again. If they're being assaulted, they will put on their helmets. Thank you.
We're gonna actually stick honor. We're almost coming to an end. We have people that are waiting close to end. Thank you. Everybody has been heard. We have last speaker of the evening.
Thank you for your response.
Thank you.
I just want to underline 2 points here, getting back to the two different events, the skateboarding and the everything else. For the everything else, since this is a self-organized event, what is the skateboarding community actively doing now, and what will they do in the next 5 days to discourage violence and vandalism and general debauchery at said event?
I think he's established that those are two separate things, and that
But where?
skateboarders are not
Are you going
responsible.
online and doing that right now and talking to the people who are all forming a critical mass online and saying that they're gonna be there on Saturday no matter what? And fuck the cops because we don't want this like last year.
Are you
and-
saying those are two different things or no?
I'm saying, for the one hand, what is the skateboard community doing to help make this a better event instead of simultaneously saying it's the police's job to make sure that the violence is not there, and also, okay, and the other thing, really quick, so just meditate on that. Second, to our wonderful organizer from Pride who said this so incredibly well, thank you.
Former organizer, don't get me in trouble.
Excuse me. Who's going to form the nonprofit or the profit organization that actually takes ownership of this and has the power to sign liability forms, get insurance, work directly with all of the authorities who make this event safe or try to for the neighborhood, and then also have the outreach to plan and coordinate with the skateboard community, etc. Like, again, it takes more to organize an event like this at the level that produces the accountability that everyone's asking for than just having a lot of people like a post on Facebook. So how do you do that, and who is actually going to make that step? So are you going to form an, oh, you're pointing at someone else, I thought you're Andrew Guy, yeah. There he is. Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna form a nonprofit?
You tried, right? You literally tried.
We're doing our best. You're doing great.
Thank you very much. You'll be our last speaker? So this will be our last speaker.
No, I've talked enough.
That's fine. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Okay, we're coming closing to our.
Okay, yeah, so question is like, if we were to claim responsibility, what would happen in the next 5 days? And also just a reminder, like, this event is organic, non-hierarchical, and so just, as a skater, I'm happy to be a liaison. If you wanna say, oh, there's liaisons in the community, people that help like negotiate situations, that's fine, but again, like, one person can't take responsibility for the actions of others in non-hierarchical situations. But yeah, please, let's continue the conversation.
Hey, thank you very much. So, couple things that I've heard tonight that I would like for us to think about moving forward. I would highly encourage whoever can be a liaison to people that plan to show up on Sunday, or on the 6th rather, to encourage them not to do that. I would highly encourage that. This department, this police department is here, and now there are some folks that said, you know, they'd be willing to sit down and work with us moving forward to try to figure out a way to do this safely. The comments about the other city departments being at the table, that is a very reasonable comment, and that can happen. However, the question of the day is what's gonna happen on the sixth, if people show up. And I just,
That's
like
up to you.
I said, just now, thank you. Like I said a minute ago, or a few minutes ago, we cannot allow community to be taken over, okay? I mean, and it's no different between this and other things that we see where communities are taking over. The reason that we go through some type of process and sitting down and talking with organizers of the event is to not have that happen and try to think about all the things that we need to do to be as safe as possible. We know large-scale events cause inconveniences. That happens, no matter what the event is. There's parking inconveniences, there's street closures and those types of things. And I haven't heard people from the community, if it's an event that's well organized and there's inclusiveness and all that, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't heard people say they're against that. What I have heard people say who live in this community and have a vested interest is they're against, it's organic or not, they're against people just showing up and doing whatever they want to do in this community. So our intention is not to let that happen. We will sit down with people any day, any time, and for the people that said they want to sit down with us, I hope you can stick around after the meeting so we can make that happen. But our intention on Sunday is not to let people come in and take over this community, okay? And as far as the riot gear, I'll say it one more time. We don't come into these events with riot gear on. That happens when officers are assaulted. And so when you see that, it means officers have been assaulted. And I would hope that people can have some reasonableness to officers protecting themselves. We have lost people who have to be currently pension on, responding to these events, where they've been hit with objects, that have been pointed in their eyes, M80s in that have damaged their hearing. It's a serious matter. And for anybody to even say that that's wrong, we should have more discussion about that.
This guy back here.
So if you want to stick around, because we do want to have further conversations, if you want to stick around, please do. We'll stick around for a few minutes and the intention is to move this conversation forward. Move action forward. Thank you, everybody.